Welcome to Rates and Barrels, presented by Topps. Check out Topps Project 70, celebrating 70 years of Topps baseball cards. It is Tuesday, October 12th. We have 3 more playoff games on the slate today. We have an eliminated Tampa Bay Rays team to discuss. The Red Sox closing out that series 3-1 on Monday night, part of a fantastic day of baseball. Yeah, we were robbed of the 4-game day that we wanted, but the 3 games we had, I think, delivered. They didn't all make me happy, but they delivered to the baseball-loving fan, is what I will say.
Hey, how did our picks do? I think we all called the Sox, didn't we?
Yes.
I think we were all in agreement on a lot of picks yesterday, except for the Brewers. Yeah.
And what did I said? Brewers would win. Blah.
Yep. Same.
Got that one wrong.
Yep. So Britt definitely has the upper hand in terms of picks on this show. It's been made very clear recently. But
the touch.
Anyway. Yeah.
That's like when your friend who knows nothing about sports is winning fantasy football, right? Like playoffs are just, it's not knowledge. It's just like straight guesswork.
I didn't say it.
It's kind of how you guys are like, all right.
Really nice of you to
throw
that out there for us.
All. It's not like that at all.
I mean, I think the Giants to win the series, and they're 1 win away now. So, but did I just do that to be the opposite of you guys?
I don't know.
Don't turn this into some kind of head game
mental
situation.
warfare.
Yeah, we don't need that. Because then I'm going to start thinking about trying to be different, and then I'll pick a team I don't even like to win games, but then I might be right, and then I'll be totally in my head.
Pressured into calling a Brewers sweep because you're calling me the king of waffles.
Oh, yeah, I'm keeping that up. I mean, you have control over that situation, so you can change it if you want to. But
that's right.
Let's start with that Red Sox-Rays game. I mean, this had some surprises in it. Eduardo Rodriguez, I did say it kind of in passing. I thought there was at least a chance he could pitch deep into the game because he was so quick to get removed from Game 1. So I think in a weird way, that decision in Game 1 maybe saved the Red Sox because he actually showed up and pitched very well in Game 4. But it wasn't just that. I thought the most surprising thing of all, we knew the Rays pitching was on fumes. We talked about it yesterday. I think we sat here for a minute and said, how exactly are they going to get 27 outs today after the extra innings game and given the current state of their pitching staff? Of all the things that I thought they wouldn't do, I didn't think they'd bring Shane McClanahan into the game early. I thought if they had a spot where they were up maybe 2 or something late in the game, 7th inning, sometime around then, and they did 2 or 3 innings to close it out, maybe then McClanahan would enter and you try to just end the series in 4 if the Rays had played it out that way. They decided to use him early, and unfortunately for the Rays and for Kevin Cash, that decision backfired in a pretty big way.
Yeah. To me, we kind of called this, right? There's a lesson here, and it's that your bullpen can't be your only pitchers. You can't just be a team of bullpen arms. And they ran out of starters. They didn't really have starters to begin with, and I think this game kind of magnified that issue. Now, we can argue about if they had only lost in 9 innings 2 nights ago, would it have mattered? Would McClanahan have been better? We can go into certain things, I guess. But to me, the issue was that the Rays ran out of pitchers, and the Red Sox didn't. They had Pivetta, they had Eduardo Rodriguez, who kind of like the unsung hero, kind of lost in the shuffle a little bit because he didn't make it out of the 2nd inning the first time around, and then was able to go 5 or into the 6th. And they really probably figured, hey, this guy's probably going to go 2 or 3 max. I mean, Alex Cora said they hope to get him 15 outs. So I think when you look at the Red Sox, they're not a team that we sit here and say, over their rotation, right? They're not the Brewers. They're not some of these other clubs, but they were able to outlast because they had more rotation type pitchers than Tampa Bay did. And to me, it's just that simple.
Yeah. I mean, one thing is you re-racked another game with Eduardo Rodriguez starting against the same lineup, same team, and instead of going 1 2/3 and being hit out of the game, he went 5. So some of this is kind of randomness, right? And then the other thing that I have to say about that is that I'm not sure. I'm going to look through the game logs a little bit, but my memory of the series, I'm not sure when they should have left a guy in longer. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Was there a tactical decision made
was
with
there
the
a
pitching
moment
staff,
where they
McHugh.
should have let? I
McHugh
guess,
last
but
night.
McHugh is not really that stretched out either. I'm just saying, like, you're saying like they didn't have enough rotation type arms, and I agree that they kind of ran out of pitching. But when I think back, I'm like, well, I would have taken Drew Rasmussen out after 3 if I was them, because he'd given up 3 and he wasn't striking guys out, and that seemed about as good as he would do. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have left Luis Patino in longer or brought him in earlier. I don't know. Like this. I just don't know where they should have like left a guy in longer. Now, I think maybe the real question that you're talking about is that like most of their guys are stretched out to about 80 pitches. Like they kind of have 80 pitch guys. So even if they had left them in longer, they couldn't have gotten more than 80 pitches. They seem to sort of stretch guys to 80, whereas other teams stretch guys to 100 and 120. So
Yes.
But I don't know how that mattered in the series, because there wasn't a moment where I was like, man, they took this guy out then. No, there wasn't a single moment where I was like, wow, they took him out way too early. Right?
No, I think in terms of pitching management, the only decision from the series that really comes to mind as a not sure I would have done that was the use of McClanahan yesterday. That was pretty much it. And again, what else were they supposed to do? Josh Fleming? You gonna throw Josh Fleming for a couple innings in that spot?
It was either going to be Rasmussen on less rest.
Right.
Yeah.
Or Fleming.
Yeah. We talked about this, though. This is a personnel issue. You're right. It's not like Kevin Cash should have done this and not that. This was not having Charlie Morton, not having Tyler Glasnow, not having Blake Snell, not having like a chance to have a starter pitch in 6 or 7 innings. That's what this was. And then you play a 13-inning game. And I do think if they had lost in 9, this maybe is a different game last night. But the way they're set up, they rely on their bullpen so much. They're not built to withstand these extra inning games. And then they don't have a starter on the mound the next day who's going to eat up innings to help the bullpen, right? So this was almost like the worst case scenario for them when they lost that extra inning game.
So much of this seems like it's Tyler Glasnow, though. Like, Tyler Glasnow's injury is the thing that you just didn't see coming. And I think maybe that's what made me surprised. And this is something that Max Bay is putting into the stream. The Rays could have used Rich Hill. I was surprised when they traded Rich Hill to the Mets, because Rich Hill seemed like he fit that bridge, that veteran that you could just throw out there and get 5 innings kind of whenever you needed it. That was the thing that surprised me at the time they made the trade. And I think even just having him, how much more do you trust Rich Hill than Josh Fleming in a spot like the one you were in last night where you had to use McClanahan?
I wonder if they panicked when they saw his RPM tank after July 1st. He ended up being a very decent pitcher for the Mets, and he would have had that middle relief type length where he could have gone 3 or 4 for them and been really clutch for them in this series. I think that one's good. I also think what Carter Rogers is saying is true. It's not that Baz and Rasmussen couldn't have gone 80. They were starters. They were their starter types. The problem was they just didn't go 80. You know, they didn't go as far as they could. But I would have taken both those guys out when they were taken out, because they weren't as effective.
Right. If even one of those guys pitched deeper into their start, yesterday's available pitchers plays out quite a bit differently. So that's definitely a good point to bring up. Interesting here, too. Erod said he had no command in Game 1. This is from Steve Jazul in the live stream. Must have been totally different last night. I mean, he was hitting his spots. Erod piling up Ks early, when that's happening, that's good Erod. That's the Erod that you want to go get in free agency. He'll be available this winter, by the way, and I'm not sure he's actually staying in Boston. Might be a good second-tier starting pitcher for someone to go out there and get.
I think it's a little bit of a comment on command versus stuff. I think if you go out there and you have good stuff and your command is in and out, then at least you can rely on stuff, in a game and gut it out. I think of like Max Scherzer, right? I don't think he had great command in that first start against, was it the Giants? What was the one where you got taken out? Yeah, the wild card game. I don't think he had great command in that game, but he has good stuff. So he kind of got through 5 innings and it was 1 run. It was like a good start. He was much better last night, but I think command comes and goes. And Erod is like mostly command. So when he doesn't have command, that's when he has the blow-ups and is out in 2 innings. But when he does have command, it's kind of fun to watch. in fact, watching him last night, I thought of like, I think command is actually sometimes better to watch than stuff. Like good command, the pitcher breezes along, like hits their spots, like keeps it moving, like the game goes quicker, and like it doesn't seem as like brute force-ish, and this guy is just trying to throw 99 every time. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of think a command artist is maybe a little bit more fun to watch than someone who has much more stuff than command.
Go ahead, Britt.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you like it selfishly because the game moves faster, and listen, I do too. Like, give me Mark Burley all day. Like that guy grabs the ball, throws it again. Like, don't blink, don't get up and get a drink. Meanwhile, I got up and got a snack and missed, I think, 2 pitches. I was gone for like 10 minutes. You know, that's just the game now. So I don't know if I'd agree with that. I think there has to be a little bit of a mix. Certainly, I think command guys last longer in the league versus the pure stuff guys.
Yeah.
Because they know how to pitch, you know, the old know how to pitch adage. I do think we're talking about the Rays losing, but this is not the Boston team I saw the last week of the season. Like, they've played so much better. I don't want to say above their skis because we saw this early on in the regular season, and Derek kind of thought they were going to be much better than I did. Certainly, I can't remember where Eno was on this Red Sox line, but
probably both sides.
Lineup, yeah,
Bingo.
probably. To me, this Red Sox lineup is just if they get the pitching, which they got this series, their lineup's never been a question. They're a deep lineup that's hard to navigate because there's not a whole lot of like dead spots, and they're really good with 2 strikes. So they're a little similar to Houston in that they really work opposing pitchers. And I wonder if the Astros win today and it becomes a Houston Boston ALCS, I think we're in for like a lot of fun. I think the Red Sox, like, usually it's easy to hate them, but they're like a borderline likable team to me. I was thinking that watching them race down in the laundry cart in the dugout, like they're kind of a likable team, right? Because they weren't supposed to be good, and they've got some young guys mixed in with some like random veterans that we all kind of thought like, oh, this is an in-between year. It's like a gap year for Boston, and these guys are getting it done. And I kind of find myself not hating them as much as I normally hate a Red Sox team in the playoffs. So I ask you to this, like, is this Red Sox team kind of likable?
So relative to other Red Sox teams, not relative to the general population or just other baseball teams.
I mean,
yes, we grade on a curve.
I think Kike is a fun character. He's got a lot of energy, makes funny faces, you know, is very expressive, and is hot as balls right now. Hot as on fire.
Good choice. Better choice there.
Let's bleep that one out in the cut. No, but I think Xander Bogaerts is an amazing player. He's kind of cool, calm, and collected. And Devers is a fun player to watch. So yeah, they're just they're expressive with each other. But they're not necessarily, other than Kike, they're not as necessarily expressive out on the field. So I don't know. You can read that either way. Sometimes people will get really annoyed with the expression. They're just like, oh, those guys celebrate every little thing or whatever. I think it's a fun team. I think they're really good. One thing that surprised me was when I looked that they were I thought their offense would have done really well. You know, I thought they would have had one of the top 3 offenses. They're more like a top 5, top 6 offense in the league this year. Right now, they feel like the best offense in the postseason.
I mean, toe-to-toe with Houston, that's kind of a coin flip on that side. I would say pitching, I'm thinking about a possible matchup there. I think I like Houston's staff a little more, but that gap is pretty narrow. Part of that's the current situation with Chris Sale. He has not been pre-injury Chris Sale since coming back for the most part, and of course, a lot of recency bias with what we saw from him in Game 2, making me feel even worse about Chris Sale right now. But yeah, that does feel like the ALCS matchup that we're likely to get with the Astros up 2-1 on the White Sox. And not much has changed with that postponed game except for the starter for Houston. Lance McCullers gets to go in place of Jose Urquidy. White Sox are going to stick with Carlos Rodon in this one. So I'm just kind of curious.
That just moves the needle further towards the Astros.
Yeah, what about that?
Yeah, how much more do you like Houston right now?
A
The
lot
weather
more.
gods.
Are you guys? I don't know. Sorry, are you guys surprised? Because I saw that and read it twice yesterday on Twitter. Like, why would you stick with him? Well, I guess what were their other options? Really?
Throw Lance Lynn out there again.
On 3 days rest, or
Well,
Yeah.
Lynn's on the same amount of rest as
As
McCullers. So, but I looking at how he is matched up with the Astros both in Game 1 and earlier this season, I'm not sure that's the matchup you want either. I still think we're looking at Rodon over under about 9.5 outs and probably some kind of Ronaldo Lopez plus relievers plan to get through it, because
may even still see Lynn.
And maybe the spot will be right where it makes sense to use Lynn. If you're protecting a 3 or 4 run lead, let's say you get to McCullers, you open up an early lead, Rodon gets you through the first 3 innings. Do you want to go to Lynn and have Lynn try to push 4 or 5 innings and get you all the way to the late relievers? And then you can use your entire bullpen or whatever mix of other starters. Yeah, Giolito and your full bullpen in Game 5. Like, that gives you some options too. The quick turnaround makes it a little tougher because you don't have that day of rest built in. You get the day of rest early. But I think Houston definitely has more of an upper hand with McCullers and Urquidy. Everybody would agree to that. But I just wonder, what can the White Sox do differently against McCullers with their approach to change their fortunes this time around against him?
That's a good question.
Something I think they're not that well suited to, which is be very disciplined and not swing so much. Because McCullers' one weakness is not the best command. Yeah, walks.
Yeah. That's fair.
But it's just not the best team for that. So I wonder if you could do something like stick Andrew Vaughn in, even though Andrew Vaughn is much better against lefties, but just stick him in just to get a walk or two, Yeah.
I
don't know.
I mean, to me, the best thing they can do is get to that bullpen. Like, he can't go deep into the game like he did in 1, because to me, their bullpen, the Astros, is still kind of being not that great. They've certainly gotten hit. They haven't been dominant. So if you can force them to use Graveman in the 5th, 6th inning, you have a chance at winning that game. I don't know how you get there.
That's why I think the walks matter, right? You grind McCullers.
Yeah.
He's going to be, he's going to be a little bit tired. That's the only thing I can think of is sort of grind him.
Would you follow McCullers with Urquidy, though, since he was originally going to start this game? If McCullers struggles and only goes 3 or 4, does Urquidy pick it up from there and bridge the gap?
Probably.
Yeah,
I think both.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I think, yeah. What are you saying?
I think both teams are going to manage this like a elimination game.
Yeah.
Because it's there with the off. You mentioned it, Derek, with no off day tomorrow. You really want to win this game because you're on a real bad spot tomorrow. Tomorrow would be the most bizarre coin flip, right? Tired pitching staff. Not really ideal. You'd have to go to Houston, both teams. I think both of these teams are going to manage this like their season is on the line, even though it's only on the line for the White Sox.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that why the criticism of the Rays doesn't land as much for me is that I think the thing that the Rays did, I think everyone's doing it now. The thing that the Rays did, which is, manage every game is your last game and get the next out. That's how people do the playoffs now, right? Mm-hmm. So we were just talking, Lynn is on board because there is no tomorrow. So you're gonna, if you have to use Lynn, you're gonna use Lynn, And what we saw in the Rays game yesterday, they used everybody they had. They didn't say there was nobody saved. I guess Drew Rasmussen was saved for the next day. That was it. So I think generally anybody on the staff is available at all times in the playoffs now. That's what we've learned recently. So I think we could see anybody in that game. And I think we might actually see Urquidy because I think McCullers will be tired. So I don't think I think they might run him out for 4. And who's going to get you 3 to get to the back end of the bullpen? It's Urquidy or Javier or both.
I think the bigger question I have for playoff pitching plans, if you're going to manage this way, if most teams are going to lean on a smaller number of pitchers once they get to the postseason, should you go through a walkthrough or 2 at some point during the season to answer some of the questions that you run into? Should you test it out prior to the postseason and make sure you like what happens in various scenarios.
Just designate a series. It's like we're gonna do this like a playoff series. Everybody on deck.
Yeah, you probably have some stretch of the schedule where you get that Monday, Thursday off day thing where you could actually plan for this. Like it just seems weird to run your team to manage pitchers a certain way for 162 games to get to the postseason and have a totally different script. And I think the way you build the team, obviously, you have to get through the 162 to even make October baseball happen. But I'm just sitting there thinking about this yesterday. I'm like, are teams as prepared for handling the pitching staffs the way they do in the postseason as they could be or should be?
No, I don't think you don't prepare for it. You can't simulate October baseball with a series in May.
Yeah,
you just can't.
They won't even have the adrenaline that you kind of need.
It's not
work,
close,
right?
Yeah, and guys are throwing right now, tired, exhausted. It's pure adrenaline right now when you get to October. So again, you can't simulate that. The packed crowds, the way that everything's on the line, like, no, guys know once they get to October there are no more roles. Like that's been a thing that's not a new thing. Yeah. That's been a thing, right, for a while. So like what the Nationals did in 19,
won, how the Red Sox even won. When the Red Sox won, they used the Evaldi, in relief. And
back in 2008, Tampa Bay put David Price in the bullpen. This is like not a new thing to do crazy stuff or to find best arms to get the outs. I do think it's a little more magnified in the short series. We're not going to see managers in the 7-game series manage game 3 like it's win or go home, right? Maybe, we are going to see that in potential elimination games.
I kind of think it's coming for the 7-game series too. Like I agree with you that it's not new, but I think that it's the norm now. It wasn't always the norm.
It's not the norm. I would be shocked though if you do that in a game 3. You can't crush your team and go all in on a game 3 when you could potentially play 7. Maybe if you're down 2-0, if team's down 2-0, but like these 1-1 ties, you're not going to see that next round.
Well, you see some teams kind of throw a game away. Like to win one, right? They'll be like, well, we'll just I remember the Dodgers. There was in one series, there was like, should we use Urias or when are we going to do the bullpen day? Because they were going to do a bullpen day in a 7-game series. There was one day that was going to be a bullpen day.
Last year?
Was it last year or was it the year before? I mean, the Dodgers have been in the postseason every year. It's like, I don't know which one it was, but they had to decide when the bullpen day was, and they went for it in one game in a way, like bringing in a starter or something in a way that was like, tomorrow's a bullpen day now. So I do think that they kind of still kind of go for it in 7-game series, but I agree also that they have to think about tomorrow more.
Well, I think, again, and this isn't me saying I don't like the strategy. It's more wondering, is there anything else you can do to prepare yourself for how unusual this is? And I think one of the reasons I started to think about it was because of what happened in the Braves-Brewers game. There was a crossroads decision that Craig Counsell had to make. It wasn't an easy choice. Runners on second and third, 1 out. Freddie Peralta had pitched really well. It was the 5th inning. He went to his bench. He went to Dan Vogelbach. Vogelbach hit a ground ball. Run didn't score. Brewers didn't get any runs. They had to go to the pen, and they had to go to the pen quickly, and they went to Adrian Hauser. Adrian Hauser's a starter. Adrian Hauser hasn't been getting up and getting hot and getting ready to pitch quickly the way a reliever has, and I wondered if that was one of those things where that difficult last-second decision, because they hadn't really gone through that process before, maybe made Hauser a lot less effective than he might have been if he'd been up and ready to go.
No, but I think that there's something there that you could practice, which is maybe down the stretch, a throw day for a starter. You make them pretend like they're coming into the game.
Could work.
And so you're like, for your throw day today, instead of throwing in the bullpen leisurely like you normally do at your own pace or whatever, you hang out in the bullpen today, and we're just going to randomly call you one inning, and you have to get hot. And that'll be your throw day for the day. We're not going to put you in the game, but you just have to get hot. There might be some pitchers out there that haven't gotten hot really quickly.
I think no. I see someone's making fun of me for the no eye roll. Like, again, you could practice this all you want. It's not the same as it's just not the same. When you're covering these teams and you're around these teams, the feel in October is totally different. So I have no problem with Counsell making that move. You need to hit there. You need offense. They could have and maybe should have anticipated once a guy gets on, you have him start to get up. And I wasn't a huge fan of the rush job in terms of getting that starter ready. I think if you brought a starter in the middle of an inning with runners on, now we're talking about fish out of water, but he started the inning. It was a clean inning. I mean, maybe he wasn't warmed up enough, and that would factor in. But again, I don't think this is something you practice in June. I think this is a situation that comes up and you're a starter, you're going to be called on and you're used to start the inning. It's not that different. The only issue to me was the timing of it. Maybe they should have said to him, hey, we got somebody on, you're getting up.
Yeah.
We get someone on, you're getting up. That's it.
Maybe you should start throwing in the fourth, because if we get something on anywhere in the third or fourth, just start lightly throwing, just start getting ready. Get that call in early.
Because he isn't getting about the sixth, maybe he's not getting in.
Right. Exactly. You'd rather have him ready and not used than the reverse, which is potentially what we saw yesterday. So, but again, I don't think you practice. I just don't think you can practice that. I think if you could, it's like managers always talk about the ninth inning, right? And how different the ninth inning is. And I remember Buck Showalter used to say, like, I wish you could bottle up that ninth inning emotion and give it to a guy in the sixth inning or the seventh inning. It's just not the same. It's the same thing to me when it comes to these like really important October games. You just cannot simulate that at all as much as you would want to.
So
yeah, and I think we can focus a lot on those crucial moments, but it's still the Brewers offense, man. I mean, they got to score some runs.
It's the 95 Braves offense, and well, it's going to be a sweat. Now today is going to be interesting because Atlanta's throwing Charlie Morton on short rest. It's going to be Eric Lauer going for the Brewers,
and Charlie Morton has only gone on short rest like twice in his career, I think.
Yeah.
Is this the right call? I mean, obviously, we'll know in a few hours if it was a good idea or not. But is this what you would do looking at the state of Atlanta's pitching staff? You can go first on this one,
With Huascar, I think yes, because you throw Morton, you see what you got. If you get 3 innings, then you throw Huascar for 2 or whatever. I think it makes sense. Charlie Morton on short rest is probably still better than Huascar.
Britt?
Yeah, I agree with you. Derek, did you feel like, I don't know, maybe this is like a consolation prize, but I know Yelich had a hit yesterday. It seemed like there was some really hard contact. The Braves defense made some really nice plays. Did you feel like maybe the Brewers offense is coming alive, is getting better? I don't want to say coming alive because that's too strong, but they did have some really good at bats and they had some really good contact. I mean, there were some hard line drives.
4 of the 5 best exit velocities in the game were Brewers.
Yeah. So I know they lost that game, but to me, if Morton is just a tick down on the short rest, like I could see the Brewers stealing this one. Because I think the offense, as frustrating as it's been to watch, you watch that game, and I rewatched it this morning, just kind of like the condensed version. And when you watch it condensed like that, you're like, God, the Brewers had a lot of hard hit balls. So I don't know if that makes you feel better at all.
And those 4 hard hit balls turned into, it was like the Yelly double play. There was a line out at someone. Yeah.
Yeah. The liner where he jumped. Was it Swanson made a bunch of real, I think Dansby Swanson is just very underrated. Yes. I don't know if that makes you feel better about them like evening this series, Derek, but I felt like watching that game. I know the 5th inning not scoring is like the game, but I also felt like they had some good at bats. That's not really a consolation, I know.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, I think well struck balls generally do make you feel a little better about a struggling team. They're not up there flailing helplessly and failing to make any sort of hard contact, but I actually am concerned about Eric Lauer in this case. I think the Brewers can get a couple of runs, but can Eric Lauer do enough to keep Atlanta's offense quiet? Like that, to me, is the bigger concern on the Brewers side. Is this pitching path going to work in this game? Going to the B side of your staff, initially at least, is that going to work with your season on the line?
Who do they bring in when they pull him out if it's not going well?
Well, a couple thoughts. I didn't throw my thoughts on Morton. I would actually throw Inoa as the starter and use Morton to finish if it's through 4, through 5, and you have a lead. Because I'd rather have Morton
full rest
in game 5 than I think Inoa's good enough where you can at least let him go through the lineup once, maybe get him through twice, and then finish it off
what
with
the
Morton.
Score is.
That's how I would be thinking about it if I were in their shoes, rather than use Morton and then piggyback Enola off of him. For the Brewers behind Lauer, I mean, since Hauser went yesterday, we're not going to see him. I think it's probably going to be some Ashby in there. Maybe you get Woodruff on his throw day for an inning. Like, that's a possibility.
That's a good point.
That's from Steve Jazul, but yeah, that totally makes sense that Woodruff could at least be available for one if you need him to get there. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a patchwork, messy situation behind Lauer if Lauer has any trouble early. But I think Ashby might end up being kind of important today.
Yeah, maybe your boy Hunter Strickland.
Never. Oh God, they know he's not good. Like they know they don't want him to pitch in any sort of critical
the TV
spot.
off. They lost.
He's so angry.
Like, I'm gonna go take Hazel for a walk and listen on the radio because I'm too angry. But all right, does this one go 5?
I love that. I love listening on the radio. You want to know why? Because you're getting the home announcer still, or at least I am on my MLB app. Is that everybody?
And Bob Uecker's pretty funny, actually.
Yeah, Euchre's awesome.
Yeah.
We've been actually listening to him with the TV on, but it's annoying because they're not synced up.
Oh, come on, that's fixable. But is this series going 5? We're going back to Milwaukee.
I hope so. I want a 5.
I'm in that position that I found my 6-year-old in, where he's lying about something and we're all mad at him, and he's just gonna keep lying. Just dig himself deeper of a hole. So, yeah, Brewers are going to win.
All right. Well, we're all in the Brewers, so get those tickets in quickly on Atlanta to close it out today, because that's probably the more likely outcome if we're all in agreement on an outcome. Let's go to the Giants-Dodgers series. I said yesterday I couldn't really imagine a script in which the Giants would win.
Then you imagined it.
Max Scherzer matchup, and then it happened. And Alex Wood pitched really well. Tyler Rogers got in, pitched well. Camilo Doval on the biggest of stages with a 6-out save. I had put this on the rundown for yesterday. We didn't even talk about it. Doval, just based on how they used him earlier in the series, very clearly in Gabe Kapler's circle of trust. Now everybody is fully aware and on board with that. And there's one pretty amazing thing about this game at the end, of course, because of the windy conditions at Dodger Stadium. I think Gavin Lux actually homered off of Camilo Doval, and the wind just made it a long out. I'm pretty sure that's what actually happened in terms of batted ball type and pitch location. StatCast numbers backed that up. I think it had an XBA of 890. But the Gavin Lux game-tying home run didn't happen, and here we are with the Giants having a chance to finish this series in 4, which, wow.
I got a DM from Max Bay, who's on here. Shout out Max Bay, saying that the 890 XBA does not account for temperature, wind, or spray angle. So it doesn't. If that was down the line, that or center, that matters a lot. So all of those 3 of those things worked against Lux. It was cold, the wind was blowing in, and he hit it to the deepest part of the park.
Yeah.
This isn't the PCL.
There's some great comments. Somebody else asked if the Yankees Cleveland was the bug game. Is this the wind game? I think you guys. I don't know if you guys had this thought too, but Max Scherzer,
is this on a level of midges?
Yeah.
I don't know. Longo's homer still went out.
Which must have been just hammered, by the way, if that got out.
That's true.
You kind of knew the wind was going to be a factor in this game from the jump. Max Scherzer fell on his first pitch. You could kind of give you an idea of what was going. You're oh, okay, this wind is going to play a role here, right? You heard everyone talking about it. You just kind of knew it was going to come down to some kind of wind factor.
You could see it. You could. I'm getting into this. That's almost on the midges level, because you could see their pants, right? You could see their you could see their pants in the wind. We're up here in Northern California, and our umbrellas fell over, and it was a really windy day in California. So I'm getting around on this midges, the wind game.
Yeah, it was strange. My deck chairs moved, and I haven't felt wind here in the couple months that I've been in this area. So things were definitely strange on the West Coast yesterday.
Yeah.
But I saw some comments earlier saying that Scherzer had a bad game.
No, I think that was
No,
a little bit
he was-
tongue in cheek.
yeah,
He
see,
pitched
someone's
great
right. He
game.
got blown off the mound. And that's what I mean. Like that first pitch. And you saw him make some adjustments because he's great, right? You saw him like kind of struggle early on in the first inning, kind of fighting some things, figuring out how to pitch with the wind. I'm sure it happened on both sides. But honestly, if you're a Giants fan, what you take out of that game is that Longoria maybe could be getting hot because he had 2 hits in his previous 40 at bats. So if Longoria can heat up here a little bit, and he's been pretty abysmal, as I said, I don't know. I'm the only one on this panel who thought that the Giants might win. I still think the Giants might win.
He's their 8 hitter when he's in, so it's pretty amazing if he's going to be good. And there's an argument, a numbers argument for that possibly being the case because he was hurt, and so this is like now right around 2 to 3 weeks after being hurt, which is what hitters say is how long it takes to get their timing back. So he could just be like sort of getting his legs back under him after he was out for a really long time with a hamstring, I think, or an oblique. Yeah.
Remember, was it 9 or 10? Remember that one postseason him and BJ Upton went absolutely nuts? I think it was 10. 10. Might have been 10. It was not. I was in Tampa Bay in 08 and in 9. I don't think they were good. Might have been 10. Someone in the chat can correct me, but he's had some really good postseasons in the past. And I just think if you look at this team, and we talked about how they kind of can be susceptible to left-handed starters, how Longoria hasn't been very good. Well, if he's going to put together some at-bats, and also similar to the Braves, the Giants made some really good defensive plays too. There's good defensive plays on both sides.
That Crawford jump, woo!
Yes,
yeah, that was incredible.
He's 34 years old.
There were some really, really good plays. And I think in the postseason more than anything, and this is why I think the White Sox are kind of done for many reasons, but like if you can steal those outs, it's such a momentum changer, right? If you can make these plays that just completely kill the other team's momentum, like, great, where are we going to hit it now? Because they keep catching the ball everywhere. I think defense in these games is even more important. It's even more magnified when you're looking for anything to shut up the home crowd or to get some momentum on your side. These defensive plays do it. They really do.
Yeah, that's what bad defense and bad defense like creates a rally, lengthens a rally for sure. And good defense, you saw Scherzer was so pissed in the dugout. I love watching him, man. I was trying to explain, my family's like, what, like, I was like, this guy's crazy. And they're like, what? I mean, I was like, he's really intense. Just look at him. And they're like, you mean his eyes? I don't know. I'm like, no, just look at him. And like, even when he's lining up a pitch and he's just like, he's just talking and spitting and
it was
he's
jarring.
terrifying.
Man.
I don't know.
He's terrifying.
He's terrifying.
Try interviewing him post game after he doesn't have a good start. I mean, he is terrifying.
Can't imagine that would be a comfortable place to be, but it was jarring seeing him on a commercial, which was really cool because he was calm. And I was like,
yeah, right.
He doesn't have his usual intensity.
That's Max Scherzer at
I
home.
wish he had brought that intensity. I wish they would have got him to do the shoot for the commercial after a game and just had him just juiced up. That would have been amazing.
We need Mad Max.
We do. Yeah. And Trevor pointing out, if you're judging the win by the blowing of the pants, good thing Walker Buehler wasn't pitching. That actually, I thought about that too. So I'm not the only one who thought about that. Like, actually, we wouldn't know what the wind was doing because Walker Buehler is not wasting fabric.
Neither the time nor the place.
Is that what he said?
I loved it.
When someone asked him about that?
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
And then he walked off the podium.
Why are your pants so tight? In Baltimore one year, Ty Wigington screamed at Jake Arrieta as he was taking too long between pitches. Throw the ball, tight pants. That's like one of my favorite little in-game comments.
There was some
the game within the game.
There was some college football game where a coach got kicked out of the game. The head coach got kicked out of the game because he threw his what's it? Your note, like your notepad or whatever.
Your play chart.
Yeah, but it's on something harder. What's it? The hardest thing it's on?
Clipboard.
You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, clipboard. He threw his clipboard at a fan in the stands because the fan in the stands said, "You're worrying too much about how tight your pants are and not how to call this game."
I mean, you can't get rattled that easily. That's just like if you're coaching and you hear that and that gets you to react, you've lost your focus. Question here from Connor. Speaking of Buehler, should he go tonight? Dodgers still, I think, are a TBD, at least at last glance, as of just after noon here on Tuesday. Anthony DeSclafani lined up for the Giants. What do the Dodgers do here facing elimination with their pitching? What makes the most sense?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think you throw Buehler. I think you throw Buehler.
You do?
You got to get to game 5.
And then who do you go to? Like, you only go for him for a couple, like once through the order, twice through the order, as far as he can go?
As far as he can go. Because he's not going to go in game 5.
You could get creative. You could get creative, I guess, right? Because like Urias, wouldn't it be his throw day?
Yeah.
So could you get an inning or two out of him?
So who starts game 5 then? Who am I thinking of? Scherzer?
Well, you'd have an off day.
Yeah, one off day, but no, it's not going to be Scherzer because it'll be Thursday.
No, who was game?
Who was
the game
on
2 starter?
Maybe 2.
Yeah, who's game 2?
Who was the game? Was it Urias? No.
Yeah,
Who was the 2 starter?
Yeah, you wouldn't want to throw Urias
yeah.
then. You'd be holding Urias.
You couldn't throw him for an inning?
But you want to hold him for game 5. Day?
No, Urias would start game 5. You don't use Urias today. He pitches game 5. That is the absolute clear plan. So I think you push Buehler on short rest, go as far as you possibly can, and then bullpen as much as you have to try and get the win. That's the way it works.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Red Sox used their game 5 start, their Pavetta, or game 4 start, or whatever it was. I guess it depends. They need to win today's game and then worry about 5, right? Like,
yeah, I think
it's nice you want to hold a guy back.
It's everyone.
See everyone but Scherzer.
Scherzer and Urias may be in the right circumstances, but you really want to have Urias ready to go for 5 because if you're throwing everybody at the problem today, having Urias limit the number of tired.
Yeah, because then all of a sudden it'll be a bullpen game for you in 5 then.
Right.
Yeah, but if you get to 5, you can probably go a couple innings of Scherzer because it would be his throw day. You can kind of like you can get real creative. I don't know.
Scherzer on his throw day. He's going at least 3 on his throw day. If he has to pitch
no, he totally is. That's what I mean. I watched this guy in February throw like 50, 60 pitch bullpens. Everyone else is doing like a light touch and feel because it's the first bullpen of spring training. This guy's yelling names out like Acuna and like counts and grunting. So,
wait, what?
You guys, yeah.
He's crazy. He's a crazy.
He's crazy.
So he's mentally picturing the players he's going to face during the season on his side sessions and just like, wow.
Haven't you also seen him before the games? He'll stand on the mound without a ball and do this thing where he's like pretending he's got a ball.
Does
and
it in the outfield. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He visualizes it. He wears full uniforms too. It could be 100 degrees in the middle of the DC summer, and he's full uniform for his bullpen. So he's a different breed. So yeah, I think you use everybody but Scherzer today, and then as you guys said, like Scherzer would probably go. He'd pitch till his arm fell off if it meant that they could advance.
Mm-hmm.
So
all right. Well, before we go, we need predictions. Do the Giants close out the Dodgers tonight, or are we going to get game 5 in this series?
We're getting a 5. Give the people what they want. We're getting a 5.
I think it's definitely going 5. Eno?
Why did I picked in the betting picks? I picked the Giants. Like what? Why?
I guess you're stuck on the Giants. That's the pick. You only get one.
I thought it would be okay. I'm just explaining. I'm explaining my betting pick because I think it'll go 5. I thought it would be. They made me put that in before the game yesterday.
Oh,
so
that's a little early.
I thought the Dodgers might win last night because I had Max Scherzer. Like I thought the Dodgers were going to win last night, and I thought the Dodgers would then throw a bullpen game today in order to have everyone ready for Game 5. So I'm explaining that. Now that they lost last night, I think they win tonight.
All right. El Capitano 2109. Does Scherzer also yell out names of all-time greats? That'd be pretty wild.
Kelly Clarkson.
Oh yeah, like that. That's awesome. That's just weird. Last comment from the stream, Jason. My brain says 5, but I haven't been right about the Giants all year. Yeah, every time I thought it was going to unravel on them or that things were finally going to turn back into a pumpkin, they haven't.
Last night did not seem like a game the Giants were going to win.
No, it didn't. I mean, I'm sure mathematically it was probably 30 5% or something going in based on money line. It just didn't seem like it was going to happen, and it did. And now they've got the Dodgers on the brink, and I'm excited to watch this.
Yeah, same.
Like if you could come back, if you could have told us yesterday that Scherzer's going to pitch 7 with 1 earned run, you'd be like, yeah, Dodgers won.
Mm-hmm. Well, before we go, just a quick reminder, you can get 50% off a subscription if you're not already a subscriber to The Athletic at theathletic.com/rates and barrels. Tons of great stories each and every day on playoff teams and on non-playoff teams too. So you might be enjoying the postseason, but your team may have been sent home or maybe even never got there in the first place. We're still covering them, breaking down all the things they might do over the course of the offseason on Twitter. He is at Eno Sarah. She's at Britt_Droley. I am at Derek Van Riper. The pod actually does have a Twitter account. It's not active all the time, but at Rates and Barrels. If you want to give that a follow. And if you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to barrel up on that like button. That is going to do it for this episode of Rates and Barrels. We are back with you on Wednesday.
Thanks for listening.